So, I recently watched one actually, I'm a liar. I watched a look back by Tatsuki Fujimoto. That's one of his one-shots. And I also read recently Goodbye Eri at the request of a few of my friends. And so, I have a lot of comments and things. First off, both are incredible pieces of fiction. They feel very deep and personal to Fujimoto. So I would recommend watching and reading them, or just reading both. They're both one-shots, manga one-shots originally. But you can look back on a movie, so you can watch that as well. But I feel like they're both very personal stories to him, in maybe one way or another, but mostly they're just incredible pieces of art that really kind of dig into people, I guess, if I had to put it in a way. But, moving on. So starting with a look back, I watched that a few weeks ago, and after, I read it when around the time when it first was published, and it totally floored me. It's absolutely brilliant. I think it's such an interesting look into manga and how people go about creating it. The idea of, wanting to create something because you're good at, but being good at something isn't always enough to actually make you the best at something like that. The main character, she thinks she's really good at creating these, 4-panel manga strips, and then she gets absolutely beasted on by a classmate who doesn't even go to school. All she does is stay home and, I guess, draw manga, because she's afraid of people or something. But she is getting absolutely beasted on. Her mangas are like way better, and they're not even really mangas, they're just pieces of art. It's like 4 things that like a picture of the school and a picture of the a picture of a rock or some bullshit, I don't know. But she fucking is like, well, I'm just gonna get really good at drawing and make mine fucking better. And then she gets way better. She learns anatomy and fucking is able to draw her little 4-panel comics way better. But in the end, she's just like, I'm shit, and quits. But they end up meeting, and they kind of spur on each other, and they become these, mangakas and all this fun shit. It's fucking awesome. And then it changes. They go from being, kids who fucking draw little mangas or whatever for their school paper, to now they're making actual manga. It gets published, they win money, and then they get approached by, like, life happens super fast for them, and their ambitions as well as their skills and talents grow. But because of that, the two diverge, and then one dies, or spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah, my bad if you didn't know that. I'm sorry. And this is all off the dome here, my bad. I'm just spouting thoughts, but they diverge, and they continue on without each other, and then things happen, and then, it's just an interesting look about what your like the actions of the consequences of one's actions, and it's an interesting look at, like, what that means for people. And then the same thing for Goodbye Eri. I read Goodbye Eri yesterday, and it really, God, it was so interesting. It's such an interesting way to do a story from the viewpoint. Our POV character is always we're always looking through his eyes, literally. It's always from the point of view of him, and then he's filming everything through a smartphone. And it starts out with his mom wanting to film something major going on, and he does that, and then he makes a movie out of it, and he gets clowned on, and then he meets our titular character, Eri, and then she wants him to film. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it's just incredible. But there's points when he's making a movie, and then the manga doesn't show you whether, like, you don't know whether or not it's happening in actuality, in like the real life, or if it's his movie, because it's always from the same perspective. And then you also get an insane, like, there's times when the panels are out of focus, because, like, just like how a phone would lose focus and when you're always like moving around and filming and shit, it loses focus. And it's such an interesting way of making this story. It's an incredible POV. And then it's also, it looks deep into what creation is. Like, you can always make something and it appears the way you want it at the end of the day to come out as. People don't see what ends up on the cutting room floor. It could be, you know, you can change, you can make a story, you can rework it to look incredibly like boring, or you can make it look interesting. You can make someone look cool, you can make someone look stupid, you can make someone look like a nice person, make them look like a total fucking asshole. There's so much you can do when making art like this. And Tatsuki Fujimoto shows that in such an interesting way in a manga format. It's so wild to think he was able to come up with this idea and put it to paper. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. I just don't know exactly. I can't fathom even coming up with an idea like this. It's nuts. I don't know. I really, really don't know. But both are, oh my god, it's so incredible. I highly, highly recommend you go watch A Look Back. I think I think reading it is also very important. I think you should do that. I think you should read it and then go watch the anime movie, because the anime movie is incredible. It's so good. I also do think you should read the manga, because the manga has a lot of fun play with 4-koma, the idea of 4-panel mangas. A lot of stuff like, if you don't know what a 4-koma is, something like K-On! Is a 4-koma, or I think, don't quote me on this, but I think Tomo-chan is also a 4-koma, but I don't remember. I don't know. And then, like, the two big ones that I know of her that are 4-koma are K-On! And Bocchi the Rock. But it doesn't matter. But it's just, he plays a lot with that style, as well as telling an actual story. And the same way with the framing of both of these stories are so interesting. Whereas something like Chainsaw Man, you're just following Denji and his perspective, and then later on Asa. And then turning around and reading something like this is so interesting, because you can see his influence, the influence that he had from something like Chainsaw Man. Like, all of the art's the same, because Tatsuki Fujimoto has such an incredibly unique art style. But, you know, I digress. I'm just yapping at this point, so I'll cut it off here. But it's an incredible, those are both incredible pieces of media. Easy 9 to 10, you know, depending on how I'm feeling that day. And just, I really do think it's something it's sitting with me. I read the Goodbye Eri yesterday, and A Look Back I watched a couple weeks ago, and they're both kind of sitting with me. And I just think about the absolute masterful creations that they are. And so I really do think you should go check them out. Yeah. All right, that's about it. Have a good one.